That's
That's
for
handy, isn't it?
people.
Oh, because you moved?
Yeah, and someone might think so.
Are you vice president?
They weren't here, and I
Yeah.
thought, because she didn't move my stuff, so don't touch
Okay. Settle in.
I'm not touching that either.
Hello, everyone. We will now call to order the City of Joliet Special City Council meeting for today, Thursday, June 22nd, 2023, here in the council chambers at 4:30 p.m. Begin with roll call.
Mayor Darcy,
Here,
Councilman Cardenas.
Here.
Councilman Clement,
Here.
Councilman Guerrero,
Here.
Councilman Hug, absent. Councilwoman Ibarra.
Here.
Councilman Mudrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Quillman,
here.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Here.
First is citizens to be heard on agenda items. Is there anyone that would like to speak on an agenda item this evening? Seeing none. First agenda item this evening is Council Memo 338-23, a resolution authorizing execution of an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Joliet and the Joliet Park District, Taste of Joliet. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Been
And
mo-
twinsies.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Cardenas,
I'm gonna recuse myself from moving.
Councilman Clement,
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero,
Aye.
Councilwoman Ibarra,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Question, there was some question about me being on the foundation. I am not on the Joliet Park District. Is there a problem with me voting on it?
You are or you are not?
I am not.
Then there should not be a problem with you voting on it.
I,
Councilwoman Quillman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Mayor Darcy.
I'm gonna abstain.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Next agenda item is Council Memo 339-23, award of contract with Corn Ferry for an executive search for a city manager for the City of Joliet. Is there a motion to approve?
Mayor,
Yes.
I know this came before, finance, and we said that it would be okay to do that, but after reading more of the letter that came from, Kathy Franson, I was all set for GovHR, okay, because we dealt with them before. But this Corn Ferry company, I never heard of them. They never came to us before with candidates. And so I just wish that we had some more information on this Corn Ferry project. What they've done in the past, who they've gotten city managers for in other towns. And we have to get this right. We just can't pick the first two that come along. I know time is of the essence, but we have to get some firm in here that has good credentials, especially with the RSI project. They have a little more information than this Corn Ferry did. So, like I said, I've been through this many times, hiring city managers, and not once did these folks come forward for the contract. So I would like to table this until we can do more research, and I would like to see if there's other companies out there that are comparable to GovHR. We got to get it right this time. We cannot mess this up.
Mayor, can I say something? Can I ask Kathy if maybe she has some of that information that Jan was asking about?
Corn Ferry did provide some references. And if you wouldn't mind, I would like to just give a little overview about some of the feedback and information that we got from some of the different companies that we petitioned for information. So Corn Ferry is an executive search company. And what that means is a recruiter, sorry, can you hear me? The microphone's sounds a little strange, okay. A recruiting company casts a wide net. And what that means is they'll send out, they'll post to job boards and they'll go to social media and they'll, put ads in different publications and things like that. Corn Ferry is an executive recruiter. So their focus is to take the job responsibilities of the position that you're posting and look specifically for a person to fit that role. They don't cast the net, so to speak. They don't go to publications and like Job Giraffe type place. They will actually focus their search to look for that specific person to fill that job. So there's a little bit of a nuance to an executive recruiter or executive search company versus a recruiter. So when they give, examples and references, Korn Ferry is a Fortune 500 executive search firm. They will go to companies, they will work with specific companies. They sort of design their book of business for their appetite. They don't necessarily just cast wide nets and look for anybody, right? Like a recruiting firm will. They're more, they decide who they want to accept as a company to do an executive search for. And so, yes, they did provide some reference, and I did make a couple of calls of those references that they gave us. And as I would expect, as you would expect with anybody who gives a reference, of course they're going to be good, or they wouldn't have given them to me, right? I would have been surprised if the people that I called didn't have anything but good feedback to give me. So that really didn't surprise me. But Korn Ferry it's a top executive search firm. It is not somebody that will just accept any company. I did send to different companies. To be perfectly honest, Korn Ferry was one of those, they probably aren't going to have an appetite for the city of Joliet, but we'll see what happens. But yet, in my opinion, we're, the third largest city in the state of Illinois. Why not us? For them to accept and work with. So, just my opinion, but I think we deserve a company like that who has the ability to perform a more focused search and know what it is that we want and really look for that person instead of just kind of collectively drawing in a lot of various resumes and applications and giving them to us and say, okay, here you go, right? And I'm paraphrasing, and that's probably not fair to some of the other recruiting companies, because I think they all do their best at locating that person. But I do believe that there's a niche here, and we have an opportunity to work with them.
But we didn't get the references, you got them.
Okay, I'm happy to share those.
Well, it's kind of the 11th hour right now, I'm not gonna have time to research that.
Okay. I asked what I felt would be appropriate questions. Are you pleased with the work that they did? Did you have concerns? What did you appreciate, not appreciate? What were some of the difficulties along the way? What suggestions would you give? And there was no negative feedback that I received.
I understand, Kathy, no disrespect to you at all. It's just that we've been through this too many times. I know nothing about this company. We gotta get it right this time. And if you're saying all social media, they did this, we could have done that and see what was out there. We could have done that.
Well,
We
yeah,
can still
I'm
do
saying
that.
that's what a regular recruiting company would do. That would be their quite frankly, like a GovHR, that's what they'll do. They'll post to job boards and, social media and things like that, and they'll just do a huge intake. Korn Ferry's vision here is a little bit narrower, and so they will not just post to job boards and do that full intake. They will focus their search a little bit more. They'll make the phone calls as opposed to casting those job board ads and then putting in everything. They limit their intake a little bit more.
And Korn Ferry was the firm that you said was very responsive, correct? Yes, okay.
But, can I just finish? Sorry. But you suggested that we do that as well. put something out there first before we go,
Well,
in case there's somebody local. Yeah, you know,
that was kind of a non-taker for anybody. I'm
Oh,
excited
well.
about this firm, so, yeah.
of course you are,
Why?
because Corn Ferry, whoever that may be, I don't know.
Mayor?
Sure.
No, actually, Kathy, you and I spoke yesterday, you, myself, and Rod. I see Rod stepped out when I got here a few minutes, 2 minutes late. I had a question for him, so is he coming back?
No.
Thinking
And
somebody
we
dialed
can
him.
get him here. I think he's here if we want him. You want him in?
Okay, let me finish this first, Terry, then. So no, again, it's a misrepresentation of other companies, including GovHR, who's not gonna do it. As you said, these other companies cast a wide net, Korn Ferry doesn't cast a net, they focus. GovHR did both. Jim Hawk was a recruited, he was not an off the street. So yeah, they do the professional posting, don't make it sound like Indeed, they're not going to Indeed asking people that are, you know, assistants at Walmart to apply. GovHR, now they're not an option, but to talk about responsive, we had a lengthy conversation yesterday. My question was, Korn Ferry, because I had gotten a call from somebody in the industry from another government, right? And they said they've never heard of this company, and they've been in there over 30 years. And have done a lot of searches on both sides, being searched and searching for. And remember I asked you, Kathy, so why were they brought forward originally when we picked GovHR? You said because they never responded.
Not Corn Ferry.
Yes, you did yesterday. I asked why weren't they one of the choices? Let me finish. I have the notes. I asked you guys in our lengthy 45-minute conversation, if they're so, you know, I've not heard of them. I got nervous when this other professional in the industry, you know, in municipal said they've never heard of them, and that they're seems structured more like a private headhunter. And I said, well, if they're that good, okay, I didn't hear of them. I don't know everybody. Why didn't they float to the top when we went through the first wave and said, okay, GovHR, and then they turned us down later? And you said, well, by the time we did that, they hadn't, I did send it out to them, you said, and they hadn't responded. So they're not really that responsive all the time. They were this time, but they weren't the first time. So my point is, we've been through, what's the other company? When GovHR, we went away from them back in 2019, 2020. We hired another firm and started a search. I can't remember, I think it had like an Italian sounding name. I can't remember it. You remember what I'm talking about, don't you? Yeah, and you know, we vetted them. We've never, of all the times going back prior to you were here, that's what really stuck in my mind when this other professional within municipal government said, never heard of this company. I know they're worldwide, but they're a headhunter. I did research them when I had time, because I couldn't that day. We got the email at 1:30, I had a meeting at 4:30 here, and I had to finish my day job. Yeah, they're international. They're international headhunters. And I know what you said, and they have a specialty division or a department within there that is municipal. So no, I just don't like it being misconstrued that they do recruiting and have a bench and nobody else does. That's not true. So actually, it's a drawback the way you described it to me today. They don't bother with the casting the net for resumes. They just focus on who they think is best. GovHR and the other companies we've worked with in the past do both. They have a bench, they recruit. Jim Hawk did not apply off of a posting board. He was recruited by them and brought to us, and he wound up getting the job. So my question is, I don't think we've ever asked him, does Rod intend to apply for the full-time position? And I think that's something he needs to answer for himself.
So the interim city manager informed me that he was removing himself from this discussion due to the possibility that he may apply for the position after it's posted. So if you want to discuss that with him directly, we can have him come back in, but that was what he, that was the message he left.
Well, I'm comfortable to go on the assumption that it's a yes, then he's going to apply, based on his conversation with the city's attorney.
I mean, I can't speak for him. He said that in the event that he were to apply, he did not want to be a part of this conversation.
Well, maybe he should come back in then, because I don't know if that's maybe a yes, or let's make it look good, even though it's going to be a no. Let's avoid all appearance. I don't know what what his intentions are, and that's important in this discussion.
How is that relevant? I would just ask Larry. Whether it's yes or no, does it matter if we use Korn Ferry or someone else? I'm just trying to.
Yes, it does.
It does.
It does. If he's not, it doesn't if he's not going to apply. It does if he does. He's the one that gave me the information yesterday, Rod himself, when we talked. So there's no reason to go down that road unless we get a confirmation from whether he's applying.
So Rod's the guy that said he's never heard of him?
No, Rod's the guy, to be frank up front, that's why we need his commitment that he's going to run or not going to run. Rod's the guy, what should have been maybe a 10-minute conversation turned out to be almost 45 minutes. Did it not, Kathy? And it became a word salad at some point. maybe on all three parts, but, and at one point, I think out of frustration, Ron said, what do you mean, how do you know they're good? I can tell you they're good, Larry. I was recruited by them, and I went through 4 or 5, levels of scrutiny.
Oh, so-
Now, he didn't finish the story enough to tell me if he got the job. I don't know what he was talking about. He's already got a professional relationship. If he intends to apply, that's a conflict of interest at this point. That's problematic. So that's why we need to know if he's gonna apply or not.
Can I ask legal, is that a conflict of interest?
I mean, it's not necessarily a true conflict of interest if he was at some point in the past recruited by them, so long as he wasn't the reason that Corn Ferry was presented as an option. Now, I can't speak to that. I can tell you that legal did not have a conversation with the city manager regarding the search for Corn Ferry.
And I can tell you that I was not aware that he had any past experience with them.
Right,
Prior to the conversation that we had yesterday,
right.
I was not aware of that.
But the question would be, did he have any input during the process? Doesn't matter whether you were aware.
No.
Did he have any, to me, it's still too much. There's too many other ones out there. I don't buy into a coincidence that, now, and I'll apologize. I said, no, Councilman, I have no intention. We sat here and we said that he wasn't qualified under the ordinance, that it was only gonna be interim. Now it's changing? That's what I need to hear. So can we bring him back in, please?
Mayor,
Sure.
the vote is on Corn Ferry. The vote has nothing to do with Rod, nor is Rod running for anything. Is it relevant?
No, Councilwoman, we're
I was
establishing.
asking the mayor.
I know, but this is my
I was
conversation
asking the
ongoing.
mayor, sir.
We're establishing whether or not he's going to apply, and he already has a previous relationship with the company nobody else has heard of.
You did not give the mayor a chance to
So,
answer, sir.
Rod, do you intend to apply for the permanent position? Or are you going to, as we originally discussed?
I expect that I would, yes.
Okay, that's all I needed. So I don't know if you guys want him to, I don't need him to leave, but if you guys want him to leave again, because I'm not sure why. I got here 2 or 3 minutes late.
Just to clarify, because I heard the comments as I was walking in, I have no relationship with Corn Ferry.
Well, I wouldn't say zero, Rod. You're the one that told me yesterday you were recruited by them once already and went through, and I quote, 4 or 5 levels of scrutiny. That's how professional they are. And that's stuck in my mind. So I, with that, I do agree with the additional comments made by the Councilwoman Quillman. I don't know if you made the motion. I don't think you made the motion to table. You wanted to consider table?
No, I didn't make.
I'll make a motion to table.
I'd like to second it, but I don't know it's gonna pass, so.
No, that's democracy.
Do you have a specific date that you would like the item tabled to?
When,
I would just like to see more, recruiters come forward
Right.
that were similar to GovHR. So I don't know, that shouldn't take too long.
So we have a motion with no second, correct?
Councilwoman Coleman, second, I just want to
You
be clear that
seconded,
the item on here is the award of contract with Corn Ferry. So we're tabling that item, it's a specific item, to bring back that at a later date.
right.
Okay. So in motion seconded table, Council Memo 339-23, which is an award of contract with Corn Ferry for an executive search for a city manager for the city of Joliet. Councilman Clement?
Yeah, I was willing to vote for Corn Ferry, but if Councilwoman is requesting that, or anybody, I would go along with it to get more information. So I will vote aye.
Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
I am getting, notice, legal is requesting the date with the motion, so
Mayor?
At such a time, the motion, if you want it amended, and then they have to reconsider their vote.
correct.
At such a time as they can bring Corn Ferry back and other options.
Okay,
Are you good with that, Councilwoman Coleman, to second
Yes,
that? Okay,
that's
so the
fine.
motion was amended, so Councilman Clement,
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilwoman Ibarra.
No.
Councilman Mudrin,
No.
Councilwoman Quillman,
we have to get this right, we have to hit all our bases, I vote aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
No.
Councilman Cardenas?
No.
Mayor Darcy?
No.
Motion failed, 4 ayes, 5 noes. Is there a motion to approve Council Memo 339-23, award of contract with Korn Ferry for an executive search for a
So
city
moved.
manager?
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Absolutely not.
Councilwoman Ibarra?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
No.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Cardenas?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Mayor Darcy?
Aye.
Motion carried 7-2. Next is public comments. Is there anyone?
Before we move on, I have one other item then. Okay, that can't be for action because it wasn't published. Is there any objection from anybody to release the tapes from the executive session discussing the interim position, particularly as it pertains to Mr. Tonelli? Is there any objection to releasing what we discussed and what we said yes on?
Yeah, I'd like to leave it the way it is, and we'll go back to executive session.
Well, no, because the public's only hearing half the side, Terry. There's no reason to go to executive session. Obviously, if you have 5 votes again, you can shut it down and keep the light of day away from it. But this was not what was discussed, and you know it.
You want all executive session tapes open, or what do you think?
Actually, funny you should ask that. Ask the people, absolutely. I'll stand behind everything I've ever said.
Well, it was a 5-4 and a 7-2. So I think we clearly have a pretty solid majority of where we want to go.
But we have to look at the integrity of the process. What was said to make the sales and what's happening now that the sale's over.
So next would be public comments. Is there anyone that would like to speak under public comments this evening?
I didn't say anything before, so I thought I would now. I just want to publicly, Sue Willis, Joliet Park Board. I just want to thank you all for the, vote on the additional security money. Everything is important at the Taste of Joliet. Certainly the entertainment, the sponsors, but security, we hear it, we talk about it all the time. It's huge. And things are just completely different now. I think we all know that. Tinley Park, some of the other things that have happened, and I don't want to jinx anything, but we've been very lucky. So we have beefed up security. Anybody that's been there knows that. And we actually did get some emails last year. Our executive director got some, I got a few, with just random residents saying that they brought their kids there and they felt comfortable and they felt safe. So that's kind of what it's all about. So hopefully we are headed in the right direction with that. And I want to thank you all. I hope we see you all there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're excited.
Anyone else? Seeing none, is there a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel, collective bargaining, land acquisition, or conveyance pending or threatened litigation, after which the meeting will be adjourned?
So moved.
Second.
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilwoman Ibarra?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Cardenas?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Mayor Darcy?
Aye.
Motion carried.